Alright everybody, and welcome to Aloft. This here is the demo version that's available right now over on Steam. Let's go ahead and get a first look at this pretty interesting survival game. So, the first thing you'll notice is I've already created a character, however, there is a character creator, which is pretty cool. You get to choose from a couple different body types, and then of course you can change your eye color, the shape of your face, a couple different hairstyles and colors, as well as being able to change the facial hair. And then coming soon there's like scarring and things like that. But we're gonna go ahead and continue with the character that we've already got. Bam. Of course, they give you the option to change a bunch of the settings as far as peaceful, the size of your map, making some pretty insane amount of islands that are available to you. And then you can go ahead and hit create. So, before we get moving on, first thing to note is that the game is stated to be in pre-alpha. Now, I did try this demo a while back, and it was a very bare bones state. Now, it's been a few months, and they just released an update where they've added animals and things like that. So, the game has changed a lot since then. I'm slowly getting a lot more confident in this developer's ability to actually make something really cool. I'm having fun with what they have already, so what you're going to want to do whenever you start, obviously, is gather up a whole bunch of the basics. Like any good survival game, you got to get your wood and your sticks and your stones, and you'll use those to learn the basics. One of the things I do like as far as gathering is concerned is you can just grab these sticks off the side of the trees here, bam, 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 and you're good to go. But as you move through, you will eventually come across these shrines. Our most valuable resource, creativity, was truly limitless. Bam! And there you have it. We've unlocked our very first workbench. So, we're going to need this soon. We're not going to craft it here, but further on down the road, it will become very important. As you move through, you'll find these little piles of stone. Make sure that you grab up these, as you'll need them to make your first tool. Once here, you are no longer able to progress, and you're going to be forced to create your workbench. We're going to need a tool to get through this blockade. Now, don't worry about the workbenches. You can take them down and retrieve all of your resources. But the good part about the workbench is it allows you to learn new recipes. You simply click one of the items and it will put it down here in your list. Bam! Learn. We now know how to make a sharp stone. But you can also combine that stone with some sticks. Bam! We now have a hammer, which is used for building. Bam! We got some cloth, which we're going to need. And there we go. Got ourselves one of those. Craft ourselves up one of these and one of them. Yeah, buddy. And now that we've crafted one of those, we can also, bam, learn a pickaxe, which is exactly what we need to get through here. Using tools in this one works a little bit different. What you're going to want to do is right underneath the symbol of the pickaxe, you have yourself a little line, and you want to try to get it in the yellow, which increases the speed and efficiency in which you're chopping. We'll get plenty of stone for clearing this out, but now we can progress through the cave. Luckily, there's a lot of light. You will also come across a wet area here. You can gather up some water and learn some new recipes. The water is actually really useful as it refills your stamina. Further down the road, you come to a tree at the top of a hill with yet another thing to learn. Mother Earth provided that which we thrived. Bam! We now have a sawmill. There is, of course, also a bed that you can place. Now, you can set this as your home, and that will provide you with a little bit less stamina usage when you're doing things. But the main purpose is so that way you can sleep, which will pass the day into night or the night into day, as well as topping up your health. There are food items that you can get to further increase the level of your health, and it's very similar to Valheim. You don't lose health for not eating, however, you can bolster your health by doing so. So with our sawmill, we can go ahead and place items in here to begin refining. They will automatically refine on their own. However, you can play the mini game here at the top to try to increase the speed of that. Every time you successfully get the arrow in this white item, the white will become smaller and the speed will increase, making it even easier to refine items. But with the refined items, we can now learn something pretty cool. Bam! Our glider. Now, the gliding in this game is a lot of fun. Once you've created your glider, simply go over to it, press E, and it is now equipped. I'm hoping in the future that we have a character that we can look at here. Again, it's pre-alpha very early on. Some of the UI and stuff does have a little bit of ways to go, but that's not really too big a deal. For now, we're gonna learn to fly. So, before you take your first flight, there are a couple things to note. You do not take fall damage in this game. As you can see, none of that is a problem. You can actually dive down pretty quickly and not take any fall damage. You can slam into the sides of walls and not take any damage. It's pretty nice. But the main thing you're probably wondering is, how does it control? Well, very easy. And I would say for your first flight, just jump into the void. You'll be fine. What you do is you jump and then press spacebar once again, and it will allow you to pull out your glider. Bam. Super easy. You fly at a pretty steady pace. Pressing your A and D will allow you to turn very easily. Now, if you want to gain altitude, you just hold your S key and you will go up. The longer you hold it, the slower you will go. So as you're going, just sort of tap it very gently. You will gain altitude very easily. If you want to speed yourself up, you can use the boost function there by pressing left click. Very simple. You go up, you go down, as fast or as slow as you want. And again, no fall damage, which is great. Now that we have a wingsuit, we can begin exploring. So there's a couple things to note. There are some smaller islands, but even the smaller items sometimes have some good resources on them, including food. There are these misty mushroom islands that will have enemies. Your tools act as weapons. So you can swing these and actually injure enemies very simply, and completing the buttons as proper in the yellow bar will get you some interesting combos. One of my favorite ones is the axe. It does this little wind effect that will push enemies off of mountains and kill them. However, doing so does mean that you don't get the resources from them. So, with that said, let's go ahead and fight some enemies, shall we? Bam. Boop. Bam. Very cool. Oh, hi buddy. Smack with the hammer. Smack with the hammer. Very easy. Now, in order to cure the infection on these islands, you just have to come up to these. Bam! The infection is cured. I want all these resources, so I'm trying not to use my axe. But you are able to stun things and things like that. With this island being cured, however, we do have access to another shrine, and we can gather some items. Potatoes are pretty nice. You just go into your inventory, press E. Much like Valheim, you can see which foods you've eaten, and it increased our overall health and stamina bar. Sea of clouds brought us ashore, home once again. Bam! A helm. So this is a pretty cool function within the game. If you bring up your crafting menu, you can see your helm here, and the first thing that you're going to think, without reading the tooltip, is, well, now I need to learn a hull for my ship. Not so. What you do is you place it down on any island that you want, and this island is now your airship. If we had the appropriate items, we could actually fly this thing around. So here we are a bit later in the game, once we've learned a whole bunch of stuff. Actually, on this file, I've gotten all the items that you can get and put out a couple examples here of some of the items that you're going to be able to use to fly around your island. As you can see, pretty massive island that we're using currently. Down there on the bottom right, as you can see, there's a threshold that you have to meet in order to be able to move your island in the beginning. You're going to need a ton of rudders. You're going to need a ton of ballast. There's a lot of different materials that you're going to be required to have. So stopping at a number of items and bringing back as much as you can will allow you to start building a whole bunch of stuff. These here on the ends are called floaters. Those are what's going to make you move up and down. Over here, of course, you can see a couple different sails. You have your helm. And then towards the back of the island, you will notice that we have a couple different rudders, so that way the island can actually steer. Very easy. You will, of course, notice this as part of the newest part of the update. Now, you can feed and tame different creatures. If you fail to feed them, they will become untamed and start wandering around, requiring you to retame them. You can pet all the different creatures. These here are some goats that I managed to find, and they're running over to get themselves something to eat. They will leave behind manure, which you can use later on. You just simply tame them with hay, very easy to get. You just take your sickle and chop at some grass right over here. Bam, and you get small plants and tame up a bunch of different ones. So right now there's several different animals that you can get, and each of them are tamed pretty much the same way. They'll need different items, of course, to keep them alive. You'll get different feeding troughs for them and just fill those up to keep your animals nice and healthy. But you have some companions, and some of them you can shear, some of them they give you feathers, and other ones will give you milk. Plenty of fun times to be had. One more thing to note about the animals is that if you want an animal and it is not currently on the island that you're considering calling your home, you just simply fly your island over to another island, and because you can't fly while carrying an animal, you're gonna need to just make a leap of faith, meaning jump off of a smaller island onto your island and release the animal. It would be nice if there was a way to like strap the animal in a harness on your back, but I could see that getting in the way of the glider. I don't know how you would do that. Maybe take the resources with you to make a small airship out of a tiny island, and then use that to transport animals back and forth. Eventually, you will unlock a map. So, the map is interesting because As you can see, each one of these dots are islands. And you can visit all of these very, very easily by flying through and just getting to any one of them that you feel like you want to do. If you look off in the distance, you can see a ton of things out there sparkling, and these are each of the islands, allowing you to navigate to these. As you get closer, they'll stop blinking and just be, little islands for you to explore. Right there in the center of the crosshair, you can see that one's an island, that one's an island, there's another island over there. A lot to explore. Right now, the variety of islands is mediocre. It is also pre-alpha, and just in the few months since I originally played this demo, they've made so many changes. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this thing progresses. At any rate, it is time for the dreaded pros and cons. So, pro, there's a lot of content considering that it's a free demo. Cons, the content that is there is duplicated. So, you do have a number of islands, including this one that we're on here. But as you progress through, you will find out that this island is not very unique, because you'll find a lot of islands that look very similar. I'm sure in the future there'll be a lot more variety of islands that you can come across, and hopefully a lot more animals too. So, pros. There's a good number of weapons and tools and items that you can gather, meaning you're going to have to visit a lot of different places, and that also gives you the opportunity to find all of your different workbenches and items like that, which can be a lot of fun. There are a number of different crafting pieces for building your house. The house building system is pretty standard snap together system. I do like the way they have it implemented, so all that is definitely on the pros side. However, on the con side of the crafting and gathering system is the UI. Now, the UI works for what you need it to do. However, it doesn't look the prettiest. Right? Like, it's probably a bit nitpicky, but down the bottom left, that could probably use some sprucing up just to make it look a little bit nicer. So, on the pros side, there is an automation system. You can have yourself a windmill, which runs a rope to some of the different workbenches, which allows it to work a little bit faster. Now, if you have some good wind or a lot of windmills, or something a little bit larger than what I have, the automation goes a lot faster. On the negative side of the construction aspect is definitely the lack of lighting. So there are lights, but it's like you have a fireplace, you have some standing torches, and that's about it. I would have loved to seen something a little bit more. They put out some okay light. I mean, it does the thing, but I feel like it could be so much better. Next, let's talk about the pros. The visuals are very nice. At night, some of the foliage has this nice bioluminescence to it, which I always love in games, especially ones like Subnautica. And as you can see, some of these stones actually glow, which is really cool. You can make yourself a torch, and the light doesn't look bad. Although, the light that comes off these torches is like a white light. I kind of want that to be like a flickering yellow and maybe extend a bit further. It would also be nice if we could make lights from these at some point, like a headlamp or something. That would be kind of cool. Right now, there is no armor system currently, again, pre-alpha, so I'm expecting that stuff to eventually be here. For the time being, lighting's sort of a pros cons in that respect. And then lastly, let's discuss the combat a bit further. So the combat is kind of nice that you can use any one of your tools to fight enemies with, and they seem to have some pretty unique abilities and different combos that you can use, which is really, really neat. Now, as you're fighting, you can see right here the line that you have to be able to hit while also hitting enemies could probably be, I don't know, a little bit larger for my sake. Others might like it being that small. What I would like to see as a good compromise is the ability to scale the UI a little bit more. Now, that said, specifically for the combat, I don't want to be scaling the UI so that way I could see that bar and then have the icons down here at the bottom right be massive. So a little bit of separation would be kind of cool. So on the negative side is the audio. I know every video I do it, but it can't be understated how much music and things like that make the game feel atmospheric. So if I go over here to my settings, music is cranked. There is no real music within the game. It does have small portions of it, I feel like, but it's just, I need that atmospheric tone to really set the mood for what we're trying to accomplish here. Now, I'm sure because it's pre-alpha that these things are going to be added in the future, and I really look forward to coming back and giving it another first look once we've actually had the opportunity to see it go out in the future. So I'd say the very last thing we need to talk about, like always, is the price point. So it's a pre-alpha, it's a beta, it's a demo, it's currently free, and that's great. Take the opportunity to try out the pre-alpha demo for yourself. I've had a lot of fun playing it, got a lot of hours out of it. Now, that said, I'm not sure if it's going to remain free to play once it finishes development or reaches an early access state. However, definitely for the time being, I would be happy to pay like $12 for this. I've gotten a lot of hours out of it, so at that point, I'd feel like I've earned my money's worth. However, the developers chose to put it out for free, which is awesome. So, I would love to hear what you all think about the game, but that is going to do it for us here today. Thank you so much for stopping out. I greatly appreciate you. Hopefully you're still enjoying these reviews and you'll stop out again soon. But until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, stay healthy out there. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye everybody.